Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a very exclusive episode on Rewired Radio. I'm your host, DJ Drew.
And I'm Coral, your favorite event planner.
And today's guest is a certified love coach and a licensed marriage therapist. She helps everyday couples renew their relationship and find that spark again. From Los Angeles, let's welcome your new love coach, Dianna Barrett.
Thank you so much for the warm welcome. So this is Dianna Barrett. I'm a licensed marriage therapist, and I work with individuals and couples on life and relationships issues, virtually and in person.
We are so excited that you're here with us today. We have a bunch of fun topics to talk about, and one of those topics is love. And nothing better than to just talk about love and explain love than to have a red glass of wine.
Cheers to that.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers to happy and healthy relationships.
Yes,
Cheers to that.
I love that. You got to try it after you cheers. Come on. Ooh, that one's
yummy.
good. I love that.
You know what I feel like we're missing though?
What are we missing?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I wish I had chocolates. You have to have chocolates with wine.
You know what? I actually happen to bring some right here.
You brought chocolates?
And I dressed it up in a tuxedo.
Oh my
just
gosh,
for
how
Dianna.
cute.
What a gentleman you are. Ta-da, and here's the lady.
And you brought some chocolates
And
for
you
us too?
brought chocolates. Perfect. I will take these from you guys just to make sure they're not poisonous.
No,
Oh,
I think
goodness.
you're good.
I think I'm good. Oh,
There's no love
they're
without
opened.
wine and
Be
sweetness.
careful. A couple of them may have fallen in my mouth on the way here though.
You had to make sure they weren't poisonous before
Yeah,
giving it
so
to
I
us.
tested them out.
That was very nice of you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, I love it. We have wine and chocolate. It's here for a good time.
So let's sweeten it up.
I know. Do you guys want some chocolate?
Why not?
Sure.
I know. Okay.
We got wine, we
One
got
of each.
chocolate.
I know, right?
All right.
You want to open those
Feels
ones?
like Valentine's all over again.
I know. Well, hey, there's always room for love.
Mm.
There we go.
Okay. First dip, Coral?
No, you pick. You're our guest.
Oh my goodness.
You know, I could see why you're a love coach because it must be really easy to fall in love with you.
Oh, Drew,
Oh
I'm
my
having a
God.
hard time even choosing the chocolate now.
You think she's going to fall for that?
Well, I don't
Coral?
know. Let's see what happens after a glass of wine.
Oh my God. Well, on that note, I'm so curious to know what exactly you do and what exactly a love coach is.
Well, I'm blushing right now. I'm still recovering from the blush. So what do I do? So as a love coach, as I said, I'm a licensed therapist, and I see both couples and individuals who are seeking me out typically for issues they're going through at various stages of their lives, whether that be dating or they're in a relationship or marriage. Sometimes they're coming to me because they're having such a difficult time, they're considering or seriously considering divorcing. And unfortunately, I do get to see a lot of those situations.
Yeah, that's so interesting. So what is your main clientele? Do you get a lot of like future, brides to be and grooms, or is it mainly people that are married?
So I do get to see quite a bit of everything,
Oh,
to tell you the
everything,
truth.
yeah.
So I can see someone, whether it's male or female, it doesn't matter. Sometimes they start out as single and they move through the different dating and relationship stages all the way to planning their wedding. So I just had a client recently get married.
Aww. I know, right? When the
Cheers to
time
that.
comes.
What a
it's
success.
So exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it took her about 2 years of a journey to get to that point, and one of the happiest days of her life, and it made me very emotional.
Yeah. Oh my God, I
So,
feel it. You love what
yeah,
you do
yeah.
and you love your clients. Oh,
Yes,
I love that.
indeed.
So you were with her for those 2 years up
Mm-hmm.
until she got married. She saw you and went to you for advice and everything.
And it was so powerful. Also, it was so emotionally steering because this particular client had lost her mother, so there was some loss in the family, and so being there for her and being there for other clients. Sometimes I'm with someone where they're in certain complicated situations. That could be long distance, it could be family difficulties. For example, families are separated, and with things going on today and in today's world, where nothing is certain, there's so much confusion and chaos. To just be able to witness all of these beautiful success stories all the way to that, I call it finish line, but really it's the beginning of a beautiful life together.
That's so true.
It's to me, it's just such a privilege.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And many of our viewers as well are brides to be, they're future newlyweds, and they're still in their honeymoon phase. So they might not have been on their actual honeymoon just yet, but they're still very much passionate and in love with one another. So in some cases, that might start to slowly fade away after you've been together for a while. So what is a good method to help keep that passion between couples alive? And even after you tie the knot and the honeymoon phase is over, how can you still keep that same passion?
Mhm. What a wonderful question. So first of all, I wanted to thank you for asking that question. I'm sure your audience appreciates it. So there's no specific one method or trick or gimmick that you can apply. There's no shortcut to love. Okay, I'll be very honest from my experience and about a decade. It's just a matter of lifestyle choices, a set of habits, behaviors, ways of being, and attitudes that someone is bringing to the relationship. So, in essence, it's about bringing your best self or doing your best at all times, right? Your best when you're sick or your best when you're unemployed might not look the same across the lifespan. However, just making an effort and really striving to bring your best foot forward. And underneath that, of course, to support that, you want to have a pretty rigorous self-care practice. So I don't know what your self-care practice is currently.
It's a long list.
Right? So in order to support yourself, your self-care, and what's really important and the foundation of your relationship with other people, and especially with your significant other, is your relationship with yourself. So we start with that. We start with self-love and acceptance, and that really starts with learning more about yourself, who you are, what you want out of life, your goals, your visions.
So self-love is really the most important aspect of it
foundation.
all.
And I've heard that before. You know, you
Yeah.
can't love someone else until you love yourself. Like, I totally agree with that. And kind of to go off of your question, I do feel like passion kind of fades over time just because other factors kind of, come into play. So once you're officially married, you officially start your lives together. I know that's kind of just a saying, like, obviously you've dated before, but once you're married, this is it.
Different.
And some people, they're moving in for the first time together. Other people are getting pets for the first time and they're officially paw parents, and that's a big step before real human babies. So do you think it's really important for like a couple to sit down and kind of discuss their views on things and, what they agree with and what they feel like is best in a relationship to kind of help with that passion kind of fading over time? Like maybe being more open with each other and talking about it before they're married? Like what's your views on that?
Yes. So a resounding yes is my answer. And to explain a little bit further, I do believe in terms of passion that when you get married and get familiar with someone, some of that might fade away. However, the security, the certainty might take over some of that. Now, in order to maintain passion, there's so many ways in which you can grow. So think about growing together, setting up and planning activities that you both enjoy, or that each one individually, you can get involved in certain interests or hobbies that are lighting you up and that bring this positive energy that you can then transfer over to your relationship. You can make plans for travel together, fun activities, like I said, and just a process of discovery. You may discover yourself. For example, if you're strapped in Thailand and trying to do
Not a bad place to be trapped, by the way. It's a great place.
Right?
Have you been?
I have not, but it's on the top of my list.
Yeah.
Well,
for sure.
good
Have
for
you?
Not Thailand specifically, but definitely different countries, and I have a bucket list I'm working on.
Oh yeah, I feel like we all kind of have a bucket list of like places we want to go and things to do, and just even I like when you brought up do things that your significant other likes.
Yeah.
And keep it fresh, like
Keeping
explore.
it fresh,
Yeah,
because it's so
exactly.
true, because that's happened in my relationship where we wanted to like do surprise dates and like talk about things that make them happy, because obviously if they're happy, I'm happy.
Sure.
Yeah,
So like just surprising, and going to K1 speed. Have you guys heard of that?
No, what's
I
that?
mean, I have, but I haven't tried it.
Yeah, it's like basically you are in cars and like it's like not bumper cars.
Oh, bumper cars.
Is it
Yeah.
bumper?
Yeah.
Like you rate like
Yeah,
in a
yeah, yeah.
racetrack, I
You
don't know.
race each other, right?
Yeah, it's a very
Okay.
boyish thing, but you know
Oh,
what?
it's so much fun.
We did it, and I surprised my fiance with that. And
Wow.
seeing him happy, literally like a kid in a candy store, I was like, we need to do more dates like this.
Yeah.
Right.
And then just doing things
How
like
amazing,
that,
right?
it helps, you know, the love long term and the passion for each other, because we're going on 8 years, and so we need to like spice things up, you know, before we
Yeah,
get married,
yeah.
and
Right.
just going to K1 speed has helped
Exactly. And the
you know?
energy you bring forward too. The discovery of your, so for example, in your example,
that. The K1 speed example.
right? In your example, which sounds exciting and fun, I want to try it now. In your example, you raise your dopamine levels and your adrenaline, which
Yeah.
is, even though it's kind of a typically out when it's a stressful situation. In this case, it creates arousal and passion. So it fuels that fire in your relationship. And there's a renewed sense of discovery and teamwork, because now, even if you're in competition with each other, hopefully it's a healthy kind of competition, right?
All games.
You now see different facets of each other, and you're like, wow, I didn't know Coral was this badass.
I know. Hey,
Race car driver.
I didn't win, but that's okay. No one has to know that. Just kidding.
She's so
let the
badass.
man win, okay? Let the man win.
Yeah, right.
Give him his win.
Right. Well, it was his date, so of course I had to let him win, obviously. But yeah, so I definitely feel like being in a relationship and doing these fun activities is super important, but also just being open and honest with each other throughout the time, you know, communicating and just talking
Yes,
about
yes.
your issues, talking about what's wrong. Because if you don't
Yes.
do that, you know, stress might happen and then you might let that take over. It's super important to do that when you first start dating, when you're engaged.
And throughout the relationship.
Yeah, and definitely when you're
Yeah.
married, because obviously when stress happens, whether that's money, your job, family, you know, life happens and life can be stressful. So do you have any like tips for people that are in relationships for like a good way around this?
So before we go there, I had 2 more points to add to that.
Oh,
Because you
yes.
did ask about being open and honest
Yes.
with your partner. And I was getting to that. But before then, I wanted to just let the audience know also, if you're on a budget, sure, we talk about trips and extensive vacations and whatnot and fun activities. Now, if you're on a somewhat of a budget, you can also just keep it light and just do small steps. So, for example, you could do a camping trip or something, just a weekend getaway, or even one day, or go try out a new restaurant you've never been to.
Yeah.
Anything new qualifies for this. Okay, just keep it fresh, keep it new and exciting, and think about exploring new ways of being with each other and seeing different parts you haven't seen, different, you know, landscapes or just different locations, things like that that you can explore
new
and see.
things.
Yeah, you don't have to go
and
to
see yourself
K1
in a new
speed.
light.
Yeah, you can go to the park and race each other and have running laps.
There you go.
It's free.
Or even if you're both into, you know, if you're both into biking or hiking or anything like that, you can just enjoy this beautiful view
Sure.
that you then conquered together, so to speak. You go on this little adventure for an hour and finally, or you might even encounter a bear along the way. Hopefully not.
Right, but wouldn't that be a story to tell?
Yeah, wouldn't it though?
Yeah,
If
no,
you're
thank
alive
you for
and to
adding
tell it,
that.
hopefully.
Yeah, that's so true because
Yeah,
you don't
right?
need to spend all this money to have fun and do
Yeah,
fun things. Yeah,
True.
So I wanted to make that point.
Yeah.
And that comes up sometimes. So I want you to know, just don't think huge. It doesn't have to be this trip to Paris or anything like that, elaborate. So a healthy relationship long term is really about the little things that you can do pretty much every day, and just looking out for each other and doing the small things, like preparing someone's favorite milk chocolate drink or coffee in the morning
dinner.
or dinner, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite meal, by the way, Drew?
I like
yeah.
Italian food personally.
Ooh,
I
we're
love
the same.
Italian food.
Pasta.
Wow.
Yeah,
One of my
pasta.
top 3, okay? I
Italian?
also like, I like Italian and sushi and
Oh yeah.
Love sushi
and
too.
yeah.
So yeah, just prepare something nice for them, you know, maybe when they come home from work, have it ready to go, or just order it out, you know, from one of your favorite restaurants and have it prepared.
Yeah, and I feel like
sounds
that
like
does.
a great, yummy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm getting hungry just
Yeah, I'm
hearing
feeling
that.
some Italian
seriously.
after this, and we got some great
We
wine
got
to
some
go
wine.
with
We're
it too.
good. Yeah.
From Argentina.
I know. But I feel like that just doing little
Cheers.
things will help them with their stress level too. You know, back to the stress topic is if you cook them a dinner because you know they had maybe not the best day at work, that probably is going to help. So do you think like doing little things will help with their stress, or do you think communicating will help with their stress? Like what do you tell your clients if they're going through a hard time with each other through stress?
And what a relevant question,
Yeah.
because stress is just very pervasive in our lives, and we can't really get away from it. So it has to be something that we learn to manage. So eliminating stress is probably not realistic to say, okay, I've got no stress in my life. So how about taking measures and doing things and setting up our life so that we experience less of the stress.
Yeah.
So what you were mentioning, so for example, if somebody is partnered up, whether it's just dating or in a relationship, when you're married, what matters is delivering in their love language. So whatever you do for them, you want to be mindful. I call it the platinum rule. I learned it from a book source. So the platinum rules, unlike the golden rule, is don't do unto them like they want, like you want to be done unto you. So don't love them the way you want to be loved.
Yeah.
Love them the way they want to be loved. So for example, if it's important for you to have a warm, healthy Italian meal, then you want to love Drew in that way. So whoever is your girlfriend, if you're partnered
She
up,
better be cooking a lot of
or
Italian
your
food.
future,
You hear
have your
that?
girlfriend,
Yeah.
better
that?
than
You hear
Italian,
that?
right? So love them in that way.
Yeah.
And deliver, whether it's acts of service. So there's a great book on the subject. You might have heard of it. It's called The 5 Love Languages.
Have you heard of the 5 love
Yes, I
languages?
have.
I
Yeah.
love that, and I totally
It's
go by
mandatory
that.
reading.
Yes. And every
Mandatory.
couple, if you don't believe in it, you need to start because it's a thing. It's like
Highly recommend
you're not
it.
going to be so much PDA to your significant other when they don't like hugs in public. Like, no.
Yes.
Just because you like it doesn't mean they like it.
Exactly.
So I love that.
So do your best to deliver a customized stress management or to help them out, okay, in their love
Totally.
languages, which typically could
Totally.
be one primary, one secondary, or it could be some people just love in all of them. So it's everyone is unique, and make sure that you get to know your partner really well. And going back to your question about being open and honest, I do encourage couples from the beginning of on the first date, basically getting to know each other really well and just asking meaningful questions.
On the first date.
Well, not on the first.
So do you want to get married
Yeah.
to me?
Do you want to have kids?
This Italian food and red wine is great. But do
Yeah.
you want to have kids?
Otherwise, we're splitting this bill.
Do you like K1 speed? We're here just for jokes.
No, I totally get where you're coming from. You got to be open and almost direct with them on the first date, see what their intentions are.
First 3 dates, okay? So
Yeah.
first date, don't give them the FBI interrogation. How many kids and do you want to get married the next
How
year?
many relationships
Second.
have you
Too
been
much
in?
pressure. Second date.
Yeah.
Well, it depends. So you want to look at if you're a woman or if you're the feminine energy partner, okay? I don't want to be I don't want to focus on male and female per
Right.
se and say women want to be married or men don't want to be married as much. So it's about feminine energy, masculine energy, which we both have. We all have of both. So we want to do, what we want to do is the feminine energy partner is the one that receives, it's typically the follower, the one that is being and just flowing. And the masculine energy partner is the one who initiates and leads. And so the feminine guides and influences the masculine. So let's say you're I'm just making an assumption here, Drew, that you're the masculine
feminine.
Your
partner.
assumption
And
is correct.
okay, so let's say you're the masculine partner. So on a date, for example, the feminine could come in and she might just ask you how you see your life, what visions you might have, or what you're working on,
Right.
right? It might be very casual conversation. You don't have to be asking in a way that is so serious to show that you're so attached to the outcome. And that so that you feel, oh, if I don't deliver the answer she wants to hear, then she's going to cut me off
Yeah.
at the end of the date. So you want to be weaving that into casual conversation, but definitely focus when I said meaningful questions. I mean, you're not going to ask about the weather. No, today was a sunny day. How did you enjoy your day?
If
You
you're
could start
nervous,
with that.
yeah.
You could start with that. But then if you have a 2-hour date or 3-hour date, then you can go into questions about family, for example, like where's your family? What type of relationship do you have? Do you enjoy spending time? So see, that gives them already an insight into whether you're potentially a family man or somebody who's close to his family, which then might open the conversation door to, oh, what about your vision for your future? Do you want to get
Right.
married someday? So right, you want to keep it a little bit general, right?
Yeah.
And
You don't
so,
want to say you want to get married
Yeah.
in your 5-year plan. It's you're to get married
Yeah,
in a year, and if you don't do that, then
like, where are you
bye.
at in your life? Just getting to know you. I
Yeah.
want to get to know you, have fun with you, but also get to know you. Because what's the purpose of dating? It's not just to be in la casual land. Let's have fun. Let's, just hold each other's hands. It's also about a learning process. I'm getting
Sure.
to know you. I want to see and check whether we're a good match.
Yeah.
So chemistry is great to start with, connection. And then compatibility is the one that actually leads into further commitment. So if you're someone who's interested in marriage or someone who wants to at least, have a family or have something more committed, then you want to, in the first 3 dates, lead, right? Lead, like guide, influence or guide, direct, say, as a feminine, you want to direct your masculine to see, is he able to lead you there? Is he someone who sees himself, has that vision or that you're looking for? Is it similar visions, or can you be on board with his vision for life?
This is really good advice. I didn't even put it into that perspective.
Yeah, it's a larger picture, right?
It's a larger picture, but it means so much, definitely.
Yeah.
And to add to that, as a marriage therapist, what have you noticed to be the number one factor that couples do fight over? And what can they do to prevent and avoid those pitfalls?
Yes.
You probably see a large range of fights, but is there anything in specific that stands out, or advice you would tell our viewers?
So as a marriage therapist and a love coach, I do tend to have my fair share of high conflict couples, and they do tend to come see me when it's almost at their wit's end or like final resort. So there's not one specific major theme they're arguing about. It's multiple things, and the top 4 I can come up with that are just the most common I see in my practice would be issues with communication. And I consider communication the lifeline of the relationship. So I do encourage couples, whatever they do, is to maintain an open line of communication. So communication could be the lack of communication, disconnection, could be different styles of approaching conflict resolution. So to give you an example, so for example, you might be, Coral, someone who wants to address things as they come up right away and put them behind you and just reconnect with the person you're with. Whereas Drew, you might be just someone who avoids the issue and just keeps silent and hopes that they go away or that it's not a big deal. But see, these not a big deals are gonna basically, you put them under the rug and they become, from a molehill, they become a mountain. Over time, And the resentment, right? And you wanna make sure that there's no buildup in your relationship, because you start to see your partner through the filter of that resentment, the filter of the anger. And so if you acquire and accumulate angry feelings and resentments, you're going to then start to see your partner very differently, not objectively. So be mindful of that communication, very important. And just learning, coming to a coach, a love coach, or a therapist would be a great investment in your relationship.
That's a great way to communicate.
Right? And learning communication styles, behavioral styles, right? There's different types, passive-aggressive, aggressive, and learning assertiveness. Right. Assertiveness training, I do a lot of that in my practice.
So you go and you say communication's key, but let's say and then, a couple doesn't like to communicate, and let's say they would rather hold it in than talk about it. Do you have any tips to resolve that? Because if they don't want to talk about it,
what's a good method if maybe communication isn't the best option? You can't communicate with one another on what your problems are. What's another way to go about that?
So if communication is not an option, I would say some couples could benefit from pulling in a third party. That's called triangulation,
like you,
if you will.
So the third
such
party
as
would be a love coach,
trained professional, could be a love coach, or it could be a family member if they feel more comfortable. So the first line of defense doesn't have to be a marriage therapist. That might seem a little too formal for them, maybe too intrusive. It could be a family member or a friend who knows them, both of them, who knows them during the time they were in their honeymoon phase. The only thing I do want to add to that is really important, is make sure this person, a friend, a family member, is someone who is in favor of your relationship harmony. So it's not someone who has issues with your partner. Right? It's somebody who's
unbiased, basically.
Unbiased.
Well, unbiased, yes, but if what you're seeking, what you're seeking to create, think about your outcome, is to iron things out and reconnect and really become harmonious and healthy again, then you want someone who is in support of that. Whoever friend it is, best friend, family member. It could also be a mediator of some sort, like a third party, maybe non-formal or not
Yeah,
a
someone neutral.
someone more neutral,
Totally.
yeah, like an acquaintance, say.
Right.
More non-biased and objective. Definitely a love coach, I would say, because they know what they're doing. So that's the
Yeah.
pitfall with that is, or a shortcoming to this situation is that a family member or a friend could be a biased person, even if it's an acquaintance or someone who's supposed to be more objective in their views. They still have their own experiences and their own prejudices, if you will, and they don't have the training that a love coach would have or a therapist.
Sure.
So we have the
Yeah.
experience, the training, and we have that sense of objectivity we're constantly mindful of and tracking.
Definitely.
Yeah, so they would benefit.
Let's talk about
That-
one way to relieve stress in the bedroom. Now.
This went like 360.
And I haven't
Yeah.
even finished
wine is
talking about
hitting
the
him.
conflict.
Well,
Well, we
It's
can
okay. We
definitely
just wanted
dive
to-
into that subject.
I just wanted to kind of bring something else
I'm glad you
in
did.
the
different
picture right here. Yeah,
perspective.
because
Yeah.
this is something that's, kind of you keep behind closed doors, and maybe people are a little bit, nervous or shy to talk about it. But, let's be honest here. Being intimate with your partner, it can be exciting or it can be mediocre for some. What's some good advice that you have to keep things fun and romantic?
I like how you snuck in this question. Like sometimes he'll throw it in at the very end, like once we've had our glass of wine, he likes to ask these kind
Well,
of
we've
questions.
already had a glass of wine,
We've
so
already had one. I like
We're in the
it.
middle
We're
of
being
it, so-
real. Yeah.
And I'm just getting started. I hope it's not the end.
no, we're still going. But yeah, really,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think this is a topic that some people would like to hear about, and kind of get your advice on what you feel would be a good way to approach this matter.
Yes, sure. My pleasure to speak about this subject.
I need a drink first.
Definitely very, very controversial. And yes,
Oh, yes.
here's to you.
Cheers to
Cheers
that.
to that.
Cheers to that. And that, as a matter of fact, ties in really well with the top 3 to 4 reasons couples even seek me out.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
And that is conflicts related to intimacy, whether that be emotional or in this case, sexual intimacy.
See, that ties in. There you go.
Right? So it ties in really well.
Yeah.
We're going to focus on sexual intimacy since that's the subject you chose. And I do want to preface that with if you have a strong connection and a bond, so emotionally you're pretty well connected, and you have a certain compatibility level, right, that you established, then the sexual intimacy would naturally flow better. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that couples don't come to a situation where they're in complete disconnect in terms of usually sexual desire is a big issue. So we have someone who might want to have, I'm going to talk about this sex
for
word
it.
quite a lot now. So if you're under 18, please turn off the channel. Or turn up the volume. No, anyway, so about that, in order to keep it, you said you wanted to keep it fresh. You wanted to keep it passionate,
fun,
right?
romantic,
And
fresh.
romantic.
Mhm.
So first of all, you want to have casual, non-confrontive, in a no-pressure environment type
Sure.
conversation about it. So have conversations, just open, casual conversations. Maybe when you're going for a walk or whatever it is, and not in the bedroom because that puts a lot of pressure and like performance anxiety,
Really?
especially on
So
the.
you don't want to do it in
masculine.
the bedroom. You want to do it outside of the bedroom. Have this conversation
Yes.
outside.
Start it
interesting.
outside the bedroom, yes.
Got
Because
it.
once you're there, it's kind of a more higher pressure environment. So,
Sure.
especially for the person expected to perform, might be the
right,
male or
right.
not. So, just talk about it. Like, what are some of your fantasies? I would ask Karen. I would ask both of you. but I don't know if I'm being too personal now. What would be like some of your biggest fantasies that you haven't explored
Oh, that's
yet?
another episode.
Yeah,
Oh,
we'll
okay.
get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into that another
I'm
time.
getting too personal here.
No, but you're saying you want to ask them, what their fantasies are, what their desires are. Things like
Yes,
that.
and what they would like you to do more of or less of. Or what is it that you do that annoys them? If you dare to ask that question, what is something that I do that might turn you off? What are things that I could do or do more of that would be a turn on?
And this kind of ties into the communication as well.
Yes.
Totally.
It's going to improve when you can communicate a little bit better. And if you can't communicate the best, then seeking a third party to kind of help with that.
To facilitate,
This
yes.
all ties in. Yeah.
Right? So you see how communication comes up so much. It almost, it's just the lifeline, basically, the thread through this whole. And we are communicating, you know.
I know.
Getting to know each other.
With a nice red glass of wine.
Yeah, I feel like this helps. I feel like this helps, especially when we're talking about something that's intimate.
Yeah.
I feel like this helps kind of calm the nerves and, you know, makes you open with one another a little bit better.
Yes, and anything more, for example, if you seek more information, for example, what to do. Again, it starts with opening up and learning more about your specific partner that you're with. Because if, say, I would prefer toys and they would like role play, look that up if you don't know on Google search. But anyway, or if they have a specific
Not photos,
fetish.
no images.
I don't mean to be too blunt
No,
or
go
too,
for it.
We love
Go
it.
for it. We want to
okay,
hear
too
it.
raw. But if they have a specific fetish, like I've seen clients who have certain sexually related issues, like performance issues, like ED, erectile dysfunction, or difficulty sustaining erections. They might benefit from certain types of play that their partner could do, or certain ways in which their partner can create a sense of safety and a sense of comfort within them, which aids in that whole satisfaction, right? In getting the best out of that sexual experience. If you're going to participate in it, might as well do the best you can to enjoy it and get the most out of it.
Yeah.
So if you have a specific fetish and whatever comes up, then that could be learned in the process of getting to know each other better. And then you can also decide for yourself, is this something that I can see myself with long term, right? So it's during that getting to know process, dating and evaluating for long-term relationship or possible marriage, whether it's a good fit and we have compatibility.
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Sexual compatibility is one of the most important areas, turns out, in a couple's life.
Yeah, I bet.
Right?
And
And
knowing-
longevity of that relationship.
Yeah, and knowing about that kind of in advance will probably help your stress levels when you're dating or when you're about to get married, because a lot of our
Yes,
viewers are,
yes.
brides to be and about to get married, or just brand new and a newlywed couple. And so obviously they went through the experience of planning a wedding and being a little bit stressed out from that, and that
right.
probably caused some issues
Oh,
through the way
yes.
with their
Lots of
partner,
uh-huh.
and just when it comes to issues kind of tying back to before, money might be an issue as well. So I know for me, planning my wedding, it's this beautiful wedding, which I love, but it's not cheap, and a lot of little girls, just like myself, I can't be the only one, grow up dreaming of this gorgeous wedding, with large flowers and beautiful decorations and drinking champagne or red wine with like their favorite family members and, friends, things like that. So we have that amazing dream, but then there's another part of the dream where, budget comes into play and there's costs, and obviously that might be a little bit stressful, and I'm not pointing out, but it's usually the men who are more
Of course,
focused on the
we
budget.
always get the blame.
You want to know the money and the numbers and things like that. So is there a line that you have to draw between dreams and reality to help with the stress level, kind of tying it back into weddings and all of that stuff? Do you have any advice?
Yes, for sure. Well, you're putting me on the spot here. Definitely one of the largest stressors might be wedding planning. And I've seen it happen in my clients' lives. And so definitely we can tie now this into the communication about the subjects that come up besides communication and intimacy issues, like we just talked about, specifically sexual intimacy issues, financial problems or issues, or differences in views about finances. That could be a huge topic of conflict or disagreement in marriages or in relationships. So to stay within your example, when planning a wedding, when you go through all of that vision, you as the feminine partner, I would say you identify yourself as the more feminine, right? So as a girl, you might have had the dream to have this amazing day of my life, best day of my life
You
as
should
your
see
wedding.
my Pinterest board.
Oh my
It's
goodness.
crazy.
You're a pro at this. Oh wait, you are.
I am a pro.
All right, no, good for you. When I plan my next wedding, I would have to seek you out.
It's perfect, yes.
She's the best. She's the best.
Anyways.
Well, then thank you.
But yeah,
Good to know.
how can, you know, I guess what she's trying to ask is like, how do you not
with the
put yourself in a hole, you know, when you're planning a wedding that you can dig yourself out of?
Right. Yeah, totally.
So to keep on the subject, it's so much fun to talk about the dream, right, of the
Yeah.
wedding. See how I get carried away into that vision and the dream, and just living the experience that you want to create, and referring back and having this special memory with yourself and your significant other and your family, and cheering and drinking champagne. All of that is beautiful, and you want to also keep in mind a balance. So you want to, again, communicate, and it's keep in mind it's about you and your partner, basically, you as in the couple. So keep in mind you are a team. So definitely have that in the forefront of your mind. You are a team. You are a joint entity, if you will, or a unity now. And as such, you want to communicate about what each of your expectations are and dreams and visions for the big event. And also, what are the resources that you have available? What, in terms of resources, we might think of financial resources, the money, and other support from maybe family members. They might contribute gifts, which could include cash gifts or additional types of financial resources. The energy level you have, the other resources could be the time you have. Maybe if you're planning a wedding in a week, is not the same as if you have a whole 6 months, right?
Yeah.
That you're
would be
working with.
stressful.
So evaluate your resources. Look at it as an accountant. Okay, I have a background in accounting, so I'm a little bit biased. But look at it as, what do you have in terms of your resources, and what is the ideal? What is the vision and the dreams that you both want to basically live?
Yeah.
So and keep a balance so that you have a win-win.
Totally.
Okay, win-win. So it can be done. I've seen it happen, and also focus on that outcome of, I pull in something I call grace, okay? Because the big event, some things you can control, and some things, no, to your best efforts and your best intentions, will not be under your control, and some things could happen that could completely change the plans. So make space for grace.
Sure.
Okay, besides just the resources and the dream, make space for this X factor or grace, if you will. Or,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally.
Yeah, just be realistic, I think, you know, and don't put yourself in a hole that's going to put you in a deeper debt.
You're
And then-
speaking for the men, I can tell.
Well,
for
I mean,
the
I'm
masculine
I'm a
partner.
realist, you know. I try to be
Yeah.
realistic on things, you know. I understand you want to have something nice, but at the same time, you know, you got to just see what's within your budget, and
yes.
you know, so
And a balance, right? Keeping
yeah,
that
exactly. Just finding a good balance.
flow and a win-win. Think
Exactly.
win-win because you still want to make her happy. Otherwise, I've had situations where they bring it up 10 years down the road. Remember the wedding date? Remember what happened, and you did this and you said
Oh,
that. So
no.
They hold it
they
against each
hold
other
yes,
for
like
10
in
years.
a grudge. It can be. It's a big deal. You know, in the interest of calling it a balance, I still want to emphasize that it is about her, or the feminine energy partner specifically or primarily. It's mostly about her, I would say. Right?
It's
The
always
commitment.
about her. It's always about her.
Well,
Primarily.
happy wife, happy life.
That's what they say. So I want to ask you something. I know this doesn't happen to everyone, but let's say there's a couple about to get married, planning their wedding and all, and let's say they're having second thoughts, or maybe a little bit of doubt starts to creep in.
Oof.
What would you tell them?
I know it happens. Huh? Well, first take a deep breath. Right? Because it could be something as general as you're having a panic attack, okay, which is it's actually quite common. You might have an anxiety or some panic or a panic attack related to this event being just such a major life-changing event in your life. And so that could be dealt with breathing techniques and diaphragmatic breathing. I can definitely teach more about that in maybe a future episode about managing anxiety attacks.
Breathe.
So breathing, I mean, we go back to that basic need to breathe. And so aside from that, you want to also ask yourself, what am I needing right now? You might just need a little time out, okay? Like a 5-minute space or time with yourself. maybe look out the window if it's a beautiful, I'm assuming it's a beautiful perhaps landscape or view that you have, and just allow yourself to connect with nature or something that is designed to calm your nervous system and to just relax you so that you can then step into this and participate into this magical, very important event in your life and keep it together.
Right.
No, so I wouldn't say take a Xanax, okay? I'm suggesting alternative
Yeah.
stress management techniques. Like
Is that
connecting
normal
with
though? Is it normal?
It's very common.
Wow.
Cold feet, it's dubbed, right?
Right.
You've heard,
Yeah.
right?
Cold
Cold feet.
Yeah.
And we've seen movies, the likes of Runaway Bride,
Totally.
right?
Oh yeah, I told my fiance, I'm like, don't leave me at the altar. Can we plan this like way in advance? Because I would rather not go through the
Yeah.
stress now.
Don't embarrass me.
Like, don't
So
embarrass me like that, okay? My Instagram can't handle it.
Yeah, right? I mean,
So-
it's important.
Yeah,
and
if
you
you're
know,
gonna
I
do
have a
it, just
suggestion.
Just do it now. Yeah, totally.
What's your suggestion?
Actually, and now that you're speaking about that, just came to me. If you don't want to add too much of the stress or add too much pressure to that big event, you might just break it down. And if you want to have a formal marriage license beforehand and go to the courts, and just take the vows there in front of the court or whatever, the minister, if you want to do that portion of it and formalize the commitment,
what you're
the
saying.
marriage commitment,
Stressful
right?
stuff first.
Then
Save
and
the
just
ceremony.
separate the two,
Yeah.
right? So the big event is not going to be the I do, is going to be, the end all be all.
Yeah.
But
Right.
rather, okay, we're already married. I'm Mrs.
The big
so and so,
party,
and now it's just to have
yeah.
fun and celebrate with our loved ones.
Oh,
Got
I
it.
love
Right?
that.
Yeah,
So you're saying do it the legal way, but maybe postpone
like break it down,
the
right? So
ceremony.
it's not so much pressure on one event.
Got it. Do you think that's really a factor of why people might get cold feet because of the pressure of doing it in front of your friends and family?
Well, that could it's an individual case by case scenario. Okay, so I can't speak for everyone. So if that is something that could help, then just do that, and that's been known to support them. But if it's something different, if it's maybe getting cold feet because you really have doubts and concerns about the choice of partner that you're making, or your, because this is a big lifelong decision, and you're looking at it as a lifelong decision. And I'm being realistic here. Actually, most marriages don't last lifelong. Sometimes, people pass away before it's, so it's not lifelong for the two of them to be paired up. Unfortunately, right? There's accidents. They're
Sadly,
lost.
but it's
Sadly,
true.
right? Relationships and marriages end before both of them have reached, lifelong, like hand in hand together, kind of thing. So I'm being realistic. If you have concerns, could be bride or groom, whoever it is, you have concerns about the choice of partner, then that might signal that you don't know them well enough and that you might need a little bit more time. And you might call off the wedding, or you might delay a little bit and say, okay, I just need half an hour, maybe talk it out with a trusted person, which could be your love coach, but I don't want to insert myself into every
You just want an
solution.
invite to the wedding.
No, and actually, because of confidentiality principles, and the law of confidentiality, I'm not even. I received wedding invites, and I'm not able to participate. I mean, it's a very gray area.
Yeah, totally.
Yes. So, but definitely, what I wanted to say about that is, have a trusted person. It could be it could be someone very close to your best man. It could be, or a family member who knows both of you and who knows you specifically, because this issue, it resides inside of you. A lot of the time, it's a very personal thing. And if it is about your partners, just the choice of your partner and not knowing them enough, or just feeling that they're not right for you,
Yeah.
God forbid this could happen. Okay, it's better now, and just think of that. Think of it in a way like it's better now to know now that there's this deep no, or there's this deep inner knowing that says, I don't think they're right. I really don't want to do this.
Which is okay.
Yeah, and you might still do it at a later
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
or once there's enough time that lapsed and gotten to know each other better, had more space and time to reevaluate and reset.
Totally.
And if that's not gonna help, or if that's not supportive in this case, then you could also, I mean, all of these can help, right? All of these are.
And all of these kind of tie into the whole show. It's like it goes back to communication, taking a breath, loving yourself before you can love someone else, having a third party. Like it all ties in, you know?
Right, as you can see, we're kind of going.
I've learned so much
Full
today.
circle.
Yeah. And so another thing could also be, so besides pulling someone in, it could be just you asking yourself, do I really want to be married at this stage in my life? I know this is a little bit scary to ask this question
Especially
now.
when you've already pulled the trigger on that.
And you have the invites and everybody's
Right.
waiting, the guests, everybody's waiting with bated breath for you to say your I do's. However, I'm still going to bring up this grace or divine timing, or if you have a connection, I do suggest you connect with your own sense of God or higher power. That spiritual connection, it really would assist you in feeling at peace during that event. This is an event of a huge magnitude, so you want to make sure that you have God. And by the way, do you believe in God, or what do you call your
God.
okay, God, right?
I feel like this is another topic for sure.
Yeah, for another episode. Okay, so bring in that sense of grace and ask yourself, connect with your deep inner guidance and intuition, and really ask, do I want to get married at this stage in my life?
Right.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
And,
Wow, this is
and do I want to get married
amazing.
specifically to
That partner.
Yeah.
that partner? And two huge questions that I would recommend you ask much sooner,
Yeah.
so you don't go
sooner
through
rather
all
than
this
later.
all these steps. But
Yeah.
better late than never.
True,
right?
true. And to kind of wrap it up on that topic, with your expertise, what is the most important aspect to a healthy and sustainable relationship?
Oh goodness. One,
Just
I'm reduced.
Yeah, like
To
one
what?
one wrap up sentence that you would tell our viewers, just
Whatever you, yeah.
like overall everything that we discussed. What's like that one thing to take from this? You know, because there was a lot of information and a lot of really good information. But if someone's like, okay, now what do I do? You could tell them one sentence. What would that sentence be?
Okay. Well, I'll
Yeah.
make it a paragraph. Your
A
permission.
short paragraph, yeah.
No, just kidding. So it would be, to summarize, is stay present and do your best. So be your best self at all times. Stay present and look to maintain a work-love-life balance.
Yeah.
Which is easier said than done.
Totally.
But work-life,
Balance.
love-life balance, and stay present. Do your best. Be your best self.
Gotcha.
Be your best self.
Right? It's good
Balance.
for you and it's good for
Yeah.
your relationship.
Okay.
I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. Balance is the key to everything.
And grace, right?
And grace.
Yeah. And red wine.
Oh, and chocolates.
And
chocolates.
Now, I also understand you speak 3 languages, English,
mhm.
Spanish, and Romanian.
Oh my gosh.
And I also understand you're an author as well, and you're in the process of publishing your first book.
That is awesome.
I know, now I'm blushing.
Blushing
Double.
again.
Both cheeks.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Your book?
Okay, well, I would love to tell you about the book. And in terms of the languages, I do speak 4 languages and counting.
The language of love, right?
So the 5th one, I would
Language of
say.
love.
I call it body language, but yes, the language of love. And I do also see clients who are multicultural, so just from different cultures and places in the world, and in English, Spanish, or Romanian. I'm actually Romanian originally. And so I do see clients in all of these languages, and German is another one of my languages that I speak.
Very cool.
However, I don't conduct sessions in German because most Germans here speak English,
Yeah.
so no need for that.
Yeah.
And to your question, what was your question?
For the book.
How could I forget the most important?
Yeah, tell us about your book.
Okay, so about the book, I have this idea my girlfriend and I were talking about, and I want to bring her in and credit her to this too, because she has a bigger vision than even I do. So we were thinking, I was thinking to publish little books, guides. I call them e-guides or e-books, but e-guides. So like a pocket guide where you can just pull it out and just remind yourself of certain principles or certain things, like you were asking a lot about coping and strategies and for stress and things like that, or what to do in the event that you get cold feet. You can just pull it out.
Like daily
Like a pocket
affirmations almost.
It could include daily affirmations too,
That's
right? That could be
awesome.
part of it. So like a pocket guide or
Yeah.
e-guide, and it is called How to Mend a Broken Heart. That's the first one in the series, and I do want to eventually publish a series of them,
Of those books.
of those
That's
books.
cool. Well,
This
that's
one is the beginning,
amazing.
just the introductory one.
Yeah.
How to Mend a Broken Heart.
That's a
A
good
personal
start to
guide.
it. Yeah.
What season do you think it'll be released in?
What season? Well, my favorite season, I like summer a lot.
Me too.
Okay.
But we want to be realistic, so it's going to be about the process itself, the editing, and when everything comes together in divine timing, then I will know. So,
Well, honestly, that deserves a cheers. I know we've been
Cheers to
cheersing
that.
a lot, but you
No,
deserve it.
thank
That's
you.
amazing.
You do.
I will
Thank you.
definitely
Your
be
book.
getting these ebooks for sure.
Oh, appreciate
Not
it.
hopefully not the broken heart one, but the other ones.
Well, if you need it, the reason I wrote this one first is because I tend to see a lot of clients who are actually going through a breakup. So, unfortunately, or a divorce.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Diana, I think you and I should go write our own love story. But before we go, where can others reach you that want to get in contact with you?
Okay. Well, I don't know what Coral feels about that. But anyway. Okay, so to reach me, you might reach me at 818-522-9158.
A direct number. We love that.
Right? I'm to the point
Yes.
and direct. And also I have a website at truelivingtherapycenter.com. I repeat that, truelivingtherapycenter.com.
Awesome.
And I also have a YouTube channel that I am in process of developing, and the book, like you mentioned. So just a lot of balls in the air, juggling a lot of
Yes.
balls.
Beautiful. We wish you the best. And
Totally.
ladies and gentlemen, if you want to find the best love coach in Los Angeles, look no further than Dianna Barrett. She's the best, and she's going to get those sparks flying once again in your relationship. So on that note,
Oh my God.
cheers to you.
Now I'm
Cheers to
extremely
you.
And we
blushing.
look forward to have you back.
Oh,
Until
thank
next
you,
time, guys.
I
Cheers,
had so
guys.
much fun.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure.